Welcome to my basement, everybody. I've got a very special episode planned for you today. I'm here with my friend Johnny Millennium from the HappyConsoleGamer show. Hello, sir.
I am so happy to be here to talk about movies.
I know we're going to talk about the 2017 movies that we are most excited about. So we've got some really big heavy hitters. Of course, Star Wars Episode 8 is the one that we are both most excited about. We can't wait for this thing to come out. But I will let you have the honors of talking about Star Wars, and you can tell us the other, because you're going to do 5, I'm going to do 5.
So are we going to start with Star Wars?
We'll start with Star Wars, man.
I am so hyped for Episode 8. But I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I'm terrified because Episode 7 was a bit of a reboot, which was wonderful. It was nice to see a brand new Star Wars movie that way. But that sets up Episode 8 that it has to do something brand new.
Yeah.
It has to be its own original story. We've handed over the torch now to the next cast, and we love the new cast. They're amazing. But the next story has to stand on its own.
Yeah.
And trust me, I really believe in Rian Johnson. He's a great director.
Yep.
Looper and all those other movies he's done. But it's also scary. It's like, will it be as good? Are you afraid at all?
No, I'm not. And I feel like what's happening now, these movies are industries unto themselves. You know, there's so many people that are chaperoning these things. And we know about the reshoots that happened with Rogue One, and look at how well the outcome of that film, because of that extra love and attention. I think we're going to see the benefits of that too. I know that Rian Johnson had to do some re-editing on his script when he saw the new script revisions coming out of Force Awakens and some of the editing stuff that J.J. Abrams figured out in post-production, probably relating to the parentage of Rey. So they have to kind of answer some of those mysteries for us. But no, I feel like the gatekeepers and the caretakers of the Star Wars lore,
Kathleen Kennedy,
and that whole collection of people internally at Lucasfilm and Disney are handling this stuff with real love and real. I mean, look at the Rebels show. The Star Wars Rebels show is fantastic every week, you know, and that they could have really dropped the ball. They were in the transitional period of selling to Disney, and they scrapped all of what they were going to do with Clone Wars, and they kept going with Rebels, and they knocked it out of the park again. It's another great show. It's a great part of the lore. The comics have been great. I feel like this team is on fire, and they're doing really great things. So I'm not nervous, but I am excited as hell. I can't wait to see what happens with Luke Skywalker brought into the fold. When I see pictures of Mark Hamill over the last year or so, it looked like he started to get into pretty great shape.
Yeah, got the beard going on. I know. But the interesting thing about Episode 8 is fully written by Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
And they've given him full control, said, you go for it.
Yes.
And I just hope we get some of the humor, the J.J. Abrams humor, and some of the character interactions. Because if you watch, I just watched Looper as a bit of reference for his movies. Yeah. There's not a lot of humor in that. No. And I'm not saying that he can't do humor. Yeah. But I really hope they continue the humor.
There was some dark humor in Looper.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and there was some stuff where you're like, you couldn't help but laugh. And that was a powerful movie. Holy crap, that was an incredible movie. But what I think is different now from, obviously with George Lucas doing the totality of the creative sort of script writing on the prequels is that, and he shouldn't have done that, clearly, so much was, sort of let down by the fact that he had so much sort of, utopian control.
Everyone was a yes man to him.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to keep their jobs.
So, but all of these creators that are becoming involved with Star Wars now, they grew up with this, myth. They love it, and they know what happened with the prequels. They know their responsibilities. They feel great love and great admiration and respect.
One, exactly.
They just want to honor everything. They want to build the sandbox world for us. So, I think I couldn't be more excited about that.
I am so excited about Episode 8, but I'm always a little bit afraid. Going into Episode 7, this was like I was walking down the road with my wife to see the movie. Yeah. And she's like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, I was so nervous. I was like a cat, like, It's like, and even during the movie, watching The Force Awakens, it was silent in the movie. Not one person said a thing, and I was tense all the way through it. And then I all of a sudden went, Okay, good. It's better than the prequels. Good. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
And then after a bunch of watchings, I love the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to Luke Skywalker. We get to find out what he's been doing. The first Jedi Temple.
Yes.
Oh my God, there's so much excitement.
I'm just psyched to see Rey rock it. You know,
yeah.
like
She's the best.
she's an incredible character, and Daisy Ridley is such a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I'm excited about Poe and
Ben.
and I'm starting to see BB-8 back on screen and Princess General Leia. You know, which it's going to be kind of.
It's going to be very unusual,
emotional, and I wonder what we're all curious if we're going to see her at all in Episode 9 or how they're going to handle that.
Write her. I know.
Maybe
it's
they'll use some of it in 8 and 9. I know.
Yeah, I know. It's really unfortunate. Was she supposed to be in Episode 9? I heard that she was.
She's supposed to have a bigger role in 9 than in 8. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil anything because we read a lot of spoilers and we don't want to ruin for you guys. So, definitely Episode 8. I'm excited about it, but scared.
I can't wait. I'm not scared. I'm excited. I am a little bit already emotional thinking about that being the last time that we see Carrie Fisher on screen.
That's intense.
All right. Okay. I'm going to take one from my list. I'm going to talk about Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yes.
Tom Holland is our new Spider-Man, and we've only seen a real tiny glimpse of him in
Civil War,
Marvel. Captain America: Civil War, which was phenomenal. He did such a great job.
I thought he was good because Peter Parker's the young kid, you know? And I thought he really captured the youth of that character.
Yes.
Like, I know we've never talked about it, but I grew up, Web of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man to death.
Me too.
I really did.
Yeah.
So when I saw his character, I'm like, they kind of got Spider-Man right. I like it.
They kind of they took the hipness out of him that I think, you know, Andrew Garfield, as much as he could create the sort of pensive and the inner sort of turmoil of Peter Parker, outwardly he just looked too cool, you know. He was a skateboarder and he just looked like he had too much going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tom Holland does look like a bit of a neb and a little bit of a nerdy type of dude that's getting thrust into this.
Are you nervous about this movie? What's your concerns going?
My concern is that they've got the Vulture in there, played by Michael Keaton, and right away he's in this sort of
Birdman.
Well, he's Birdman and Batman, but he's in this armor that looks so much like the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, or even stuff that we saw from the Tobey Maguire series, which I still am a fan of.
Yeah, I do like this as well.
So it's going to be weird to compare that to. It's almost like we're in the Star Wars zone here of like comparing how many different variations of Spider-Man we're going to be. But I think it's wonderful that they're integrating into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and I love that he's a big part of this movie. And we're going to see augmented suits and cool technology and Spider-Man kind of growing into the character. Yeah. It's another origin story in a way, but
I know. I mean, like, they just keep rebooting like Spider-Man. I talked to my wife all. I'm like, oh, they're rebooting Spider-Man again. It does deflate you a little bit, you know. Like, especially when it was Tobey Maguire, I got really attached to him. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got another guy. Then we've got another guy. Yeah. And the audience is going to feel a little bit. Where are we at with this franchise?
Absolutely, they're going to think that. Yeah. Spider-Man though is one of the coolest characters you can ever have anywhere. Just look at how much he injects into a movie filled with incredible superheroes like Civil War, and then Spider-Man's there, and it's incredible. He's so fantastic.
Hey everyone. Sorry, I had to do that. I loved him in Civil War. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he's really fantastic. Fun. So that's one of my many superhero movies that I'm psyched for.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get into a good one here.
Okay.
We're gonna go right into it. Blade Runner 2049.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh my! Did you see it in 1982?
I did.
Yeah.
And
me too.
I was privileged enough that my uncle actually was visiting from Ontario, who's my Uncle Ray, rest in peace. But he was a really cool guy, and he took my brother and I down to the Seattle Space Needle, where they had an exhibit to show off all of the Sid Mead production design and artwork, as well as a live prop and a live spinner car from the movie set, and all kinds of production design and artwork, showing us all of the love and effort that went into creating the incredible world of Blade Runner.
1982.
Yeah, before the movie had come out. So
crazy.
I got all of this like, oh my God, look at this incredible aesthetic. Look at all of this passion.
Yeah.
And then I saw the movie, and it was all there. It was all realized. It was all very clear that this was a phenomenal film.
A very adult film.
Yes.
My dad took me to see it in Ontario, in Toronto, downtown.
Yeah.
And we went in, and I just kind of remember it felt like a smoky theater, and we watched it. And I sat there, and I was 8 years old, and was so intense, but it changed my life. Like the graphics, the city scenes, the characters, the voice noir, which I do like. I do like the voiceover.
The voiceover, yeah.
A huge fan.
The Atari logo.
Oh yeah, the Atari logo always in the background, and I just was so. I mean, I was reading heavy metal back then.
Yep.
Remember the heavy metal magazines?
Absolutely.
And I love the science fiction stories and that. And this was like a heavy metal brought to life. And then some. It was cyberpunk, and I didn't even know what cyberpunk was when I was 8 years old.
So prescient, so ahead of its time.
So ahead of its time.
And like so much we are heading to Blade Runner, it's frightening, you know? And the fact that it's coming back.
Well, that's what I want to talk about too.
Yeah.
So we had Harrison Ford in Star Wars. We had him in Indiana Jones. So we already love this guy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's in this brutal, dark sci-fi movie. It was such a cool thing to see him in. And when we came out of the theater, we walked out in the middle of Toronto.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was like rainy and crappy, and I'm like, oh my, is this my future?
Yeah.
And it was so, and I've seen Blade Runner over 100 times. I've memorized it. I can do it back and forth. You know, it was Roy Batty's birthday the other day.
Yeah.
2016 incept date.
Yeah.
Or 2017 incept date. It was incredible. I thought it was so fantastic and ahead of its time.
Well, the thing that excites me about the sequel is that, yes, it's a bit of, circling back to celebrate something that was marvelous.
Yeah.
But it's also with Denis Villeneuve, who just killed it with Arrival.
Arrival's a great film.
Incredible movie.
Yep.
And he killed it with Sicario.
Yeah.
And this guy is, he's pegged to take on the new Dune, if they make Dune into a film.
That. Yeah.
And he's a visionary, wonderful, intelligent craftsman of a filmmaker who really knows how to set up beautiful shots and honor material like this that has really rich, deep intelligence. Philip K. Dick built a universe for us that's worth re-exploring. Rick Deckard is a character I want to see again.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
He's not a character that I want to see again.
No, he was like a Philip Marlowe or a Sam Spade for an era that that is unbelievably, unendingly fascinating. They could have turned that into a television series instantly. So, and I also love the fact that Harrison Ford is, of sound mind and body.
For now.
In an age, he's like, he is fighting this whole ageist kind of mentality that we have, this thing that we have with people just sort of aging out of being bankable.
He hated being in Blade Runner. He detested it. He hated the night shoots. He didn't want to be in it at all. And now years later, they pay him some money and he wants to be in it.
I think what's happened is he's had some really close recent brushes with death.
Sure, yeah.
And he's had a lot of time to reflect on the choices that he's made in his career and has decided to revisit things that people really love.
Yeah.
And that's something that's always sort of been an important choice for him, is to do things that people resonate around, and he's made great choices for the most part.
I'm nervous. I don't want to see Harrison Ford come back.
Gosling is also fantastic.
I would like to see
he is an amazing actor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see Gosling on an off-world colony having to deal with an outbreak in a military base or something cool, something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Are we going to be on Earth again? Oh, we have to see, obviously, Deckard again. It's like, and he's old, and he's like, yeah, I'm a replicant that ages. Really? I don't know if I want that. Like, I'm a real hardcore, lover of the original film. I don't know if I want to see.
Are you? Because that's still up for debate that he is a replicant. Do you think that he is for sure?
Well, we all know that Ridley Scott said he was, and remember, like in the end of the film, he escapes. How long do I have? All that kind of stuff. I think he's gonna be like a replicant. I hope not. I hope he's just a guy who's based. They based Deckard on.
See, this is worth the movie right here. This discussion, just trying to figure that out. I think
if it goes in that direction, maybe. Okay. But I'm scared. Like that world. Is it just gonna be like CG? I know the original CG, but it has some weirdness. I don't know.
It wasn't that much CG. It was a lot of plates.
No, it was a lot of model shots and smoke and lighting, and a lot of it was that.
Like trying to cut the wires out. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll wait and see for sure.
I can't wait, brother.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm scared.
It's time to talk superheroes again. Wolverine is back with Logan. This is the third solo outing.
The third?
Yeah, I think we had Origins. We had the Wolverine. And now we have Logan, and I think this is based on some stuff around Old Man Logan. I really haven't, read too much about it. I just want to see it and experience this movie. Of course, I've seen the trailers, And of course, I've seen a lot of the James Mangold Instagram pictures and stuff that Hugh Jackman has been posting and tweeting. All of these black and whites, very moody. He's a bearded, older, grayed, damaged Wolverine. And the posters have been powerful. The trailers have been powerful. The music choices. This looks heavy. It looks like it's going to be... this is famously supposed to be the last outing of Hugh Jackman as this character. Yeah. And he's played him for 20 years or something.
Has it been 20 years?
Yeah, and you know what?
What?
I can't imagine another actor filling that role better than him.
He's perfect for him.
He was fantastic, is as fantastic as Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a bit of a heartbreaking film that deviates from a lot of the superhero choices. And I hope to God that this is... If it is to be the last one for Jackman, I hope it honors him, because I think that guy's a hell of an actor, and I think he's been so heavily committed to the performance of this guy, and also the other work that he does, that I just want him to just reap tons of benefit from this. In much the same way that Ryan Reynolds just knocked it out of the park and everybody loves him with Deadpool, I want that same adoration to fall on Jackman.
I wish I had the hype for the movie that you do.
Yeah, because the other ones haven't been that good, right?
That's the problem. Yeah. They were okay-ish.
Well, there was some fun stuff in Origins, a lot of bullshit, and then and part of the Wolverine was super cool, and then they got to put a stupid giant silver samurai thing in.
My favorite portrayal of Wolverine so far was Weapon X in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
That to me was what I grew up with.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
I thought, this is cool. I'd love to see an entire movie on this.
I love Days of Future Past, where he goes
that's
back.
Great. I enjoyed that, as well. But I'm going in, I'll watch it, but I'm not hyped.
Well,
I'm not hyped.
I feel like the stakes are so high. Everybody wants to deliver something really special.
I hope so.
And I think we're going to see.
Because it can only go up.
It can only go up, and I also think that we're going to see a little glimpse of what the future X universe is going to be. Because obviously this franchising ain't going anywhere. Fox is making
20 years.
Fox is making so much money off of this. Now there's the new TV series and everything. So I'm putting Logan in my slot.
Interesting, yeah.
What's next for you?
Let's have a look at my list here. What have I been calling it? Alien Covenant. And it's Alien Covenant.
Covenant, almost, yeah.
I don't know what it is. I keep doing that.
It's your British accent, man.
Not my,
Yes. It's your British accent.
It's not my bloody British accent.
Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant. Gather around with your tea. Let me tell you a little story about Alien.
About a xenomorph.
Xenomorph.
This movie needs to work, and if it works really well, Prometheus will be saved.
So this is your Logan.
I guess it is in a way.
Yeah.
But this is a movie that's between another few movies, right? We have Prometheus, and then we have Alien 1, and this movie goes right in between.
Yeah.
And it will branch that storyline. Is it going to be... Oh, I don't know. I feel so bad. I'm nervous about all these movies because I want this movie to work really well.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Prometheus was the end, was Shaw and David were going off to the alien homeworld.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. I was hoping it would be Prometheus
so much about Prometheus that was so fucking cool, right? It was
a lot that was
such
cool.
A beautiful movie, and then there was just so much stupid in that movie.
There were so many unanswered questions, and it's nice to have unanswered questions if you follow through in the next movie, and that's what this movie needs to do. Yeah. It needs to answer those questions. And my problem when I saw the trailer, I don't know if you got this feeling as well. I'm like, is it the same thing as Alien 1 and Aliens? Are we just doing the same thing over and over again? Oh, another horror movie with an alien killing people.
Yeah.
That's cool, but I need more of the world now.
Yeah.
I need more. I can't just do the same movie again.
Yeah, you know? I'm excited to see where he goes with this thing. I think that Ridley Scott is, talk about a prolific guy in Hollywood, right? It's a machine that this guy has created. You know, he and his brother, rest in peace. They've just been so heavily invested in so many amazing franchises and independent pictures and experiments. Yeah, really fascinating, and it's cool. Like he's involved in Blade Runner as well, right? So he's got
a producer role.
So, but he's got 2 of his babies, right? And he's got to take care of them and make sure that they get.
I think he's always doing so much of this.
I know, and that makes me nervous. But he's hands-on with this.
Yeah.
He's got his wits and his faculties, and also I think his ego. You know, he doesn't want.
He's got a great ego. He deserves to have an ego.
Well, he doesn't.
Ridley Scott deserves to have an ego.
But he doesn't want a repeat of what happened with Prometheus. So I think. I think. I think it'll be a better movie than that for sure.
Do you really?
I do, and I think we're gonna be scared and see some cool stuff and get us closer to the first Alien. I think what's happening with a lot of these guys as they're getting older is they're talking with people that grew up with their movies who are now sort of executives and other peers as directors and stuff, and they're having a moment to reflect on the significance and the power of that work. And so there is a bit of a reclaiming of that. And some of the original participants are still involved, and some new blood is also, taking the reins. But it's not the same as, something was hot in the 80s and then brought back in the 90s. It's not the same because there wasn't enough kind of gap in there.
And sometimes leave things alone. Like
sometimes leave it alone.
Tarantino says it the best that directors have a certain lifespan.
Yeah.
Like Lucas went beyond his lifespan, and the same with Ridley Scott. He just can't get enough. He can't get enough of that high.
Yeah.
And that's what it is at this point. He's a high. He's like, I'm going to do another Blade Runner. I'm going to do another Alien film.
Yeah.
Even if he's doing the producer role on that, but.
I mean,
is there a story to be told? That's the thing. Or is he just telling a story because he just wants to keep on reliving his franchise?
If he's successful enough, and has been successful enough and makes the money enough, then it's worth giving him the shot, I think,
First, more Alien and Blade Runner films? This is cool, but at the same time, I just hope there's something to back it up.
Yeah.
It's not cannon fodder in the end of the day.
I got you. Well, talking about nerves, Wonder Woman is something that makes me nervous. But also very excited. Yeah, because, I wasn't a big fan of the last two DC Entertainment Universe films there, the Batman vs. Superman or Suicide Squad. I am a big fan of Man of Steel, which many people don't know, but I really like that movie quite a bit, and I think Zack Snyder did a good different take with Superman. But I'm really excited to see where Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, the director, and Chris Pine's in there. The cast looks cool.
It does.
It looks like it's such an interesting, almost Battlefield 1-esque kind of take of going into World War I and sort of rebooting everything and showing this permanent warrior, this powerful person that can exist through time and protect through time and do incredible feats and become legend. I think this is a character that has long deserved this adoration and this opportunity to explode on the screen, and I just hope everybody does it well. But I don't want them to try too hard to be a Marvel movie and be goofy and silly and funny. I want them to, if this has the grit and the rawness and the darkness that it is justified and not sort of superimposed into it like in Batman vs. Superman, it just felt like. Anyways, I'm not going to re-critique that movie, but I feel like if this movie can organically become something special, I will be very happy because the character deserves it.
I have something to admit that I've never admitted before.
Yeah.
I used to watch the Wonder Woman live-action TV show in the 80s, and I liked it.
It was a great show.
It was a good show.
Linda Carter was amazing.
I was going to say Linda Hamilton. It was Linda Carter.
She was incredible.
Yeah, she was. I watched that show every day. And,
how could we have a great show like that? It was cheesy, sure, but it was a hit show. How could we have that and then Wonder Woman's gone
and
from
that's
the
what I'm
screen?
talking about.
Yeah.
So I have a bit of a soft spot for Wonder Woman. I am looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
Yep.
I'm not hyped. It's not like my must-see movie of the year.
If Batman vs. Superman was great and Suicide Squad was great, we would be so hyped for Wonder Woman. But
I guess, yeah.
But they've undercut that.
Yeah.
And same for Justice League. I mean, it's not even making my top 5 list at all right now.
Not.
So
Wonder Woman. Yeah, I'll see it, but.
Yeah. You got something different though.
We're gonna go into this one. This is oh my God.
And this is coming up soon.
I almost want to start swearing. I don't know what it is.
You can swear.
No. But I just want to go. I'm fucking super excited about John Wick 2.
Yeah.
I love the first movie. I was telling you outside is that me and my wife, we sat down on a Sunday and we had to work the next day. We're like, oh God. It's one of those Sundays and we put on John Wick. We're like, oh, we'll see what this is about. It was the best time we'd ever had. And we said Sunday was good because of that movie. It didn't feel like a Sunday. John Wick is the greatest action movie. I loved every minute of that movie.
And talk about a guy that's fighting this whole ageism thing in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Keanu Reeves is incredible. He's in his 50s and he moves like a cat and he looks exactly the same and he was incredible in John Wick.
Whoa.
And now they're talking about the third one already. So buzz on this one is good. This guy's like fully involved and and fully committed, loves all of this stuff. He has said that he would love to play a superhero, but of course nobody's going to think of
John Wick is a superhero.
It's his thing. Yeah.
I just that movie's so intense. I was watching it again the other day.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming off the high of it. I just sounds such a weird thing to say. I liked it, but I just love it when he's just coming up to people, shooting them right in the head. No way, like holding back, just shooting the head. I was like, it was such a high. I was like, holy shit, this guy! And what a revenge story.
Totally.
John Wick.
You don't want to do anything to him or his family or
don't kill his dog.
Yeah, you don't want to do any of that stuff. The way that he does move,
it's unbelievable.
It's like he's punching with the bullets.
That's exactly what it seems like.
It's so crazy.
And this secret world of assassins is something fascinating in that movie. That is this whole hierarchy that's going on below the scenes that we don't even know about. It's so unusual.
Yeah.
It's such an unusual assassin group thing, and I hope and I think they're going to explore that a lot more in the next movie. I'm really hyped.
Oh, I think they're setting it up, man.
Excited.
I think this is going to be the big franchise for him.
If you haven't seen John Wick, check it out.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. We were talking about Keanu Reeves, who came off of the Matrix franchise, which was a huge, seminal, important work from the 90s. The other big one, I think, in the sci-fi space was Fifth Element from Luc Besson, which is a classic, and everybody should see that. But Luc Besson has famously kind of disappeared into the background and produced a bunch of stuff. He's been busy, but he hasn't really directed too many things, and he definitely hasn't been involved in as much sci-fi stuff that we've wanted him to be. This is him coming back with a crazy, over-the-top, operatic, sort of leaning in the Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy,
I'd say
hyper color, and Fifth Element.
I'd say for the CG, but he comes from the heavy metal background.
A little bit,
Bring that up again.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Fifth Element was born from heavy metal.
Oh my God.
From Mobius, I love Mobius.
We've talked about Fifth Element a little bit before we started rolling. I want to see that movie again so bad right now.
I love that
It was so damn good, man.
Fifth Element is one of those movies that I can say was ahead of me, and I hate to even say that because you're like, no, I know everything about movies. I enjoy movies, but I came out of Fifth Element and I was like, I didn't like that movie.
Oh,
no, the first time I was like, I don't know if there was this cheesy bit. There's this. I was being very critical, and then over the years I've watched it. And it's like one of the best, most classic movies.
It's
just
sublime.
One of those movies that I thought at the time, it's just the cheesy dance sequence. I don't even have to do all of that.
Chris Tucker. Oh my God, it's incredible. Bruce Willis.
Piece of
movie. That's the only thing that sort of concerns me a little bit about Valerian is it doesn't have those epic. From what I've seen, those epic sort of performers, those character actors that
there might be
jump
a reason
off.
why.
Well, maybe they're going to be hidden. Maybe it's not revealed in the trailer. We do see Rihanna take off her hat and transform everything, and that looks pretty amazing. But definitely looking forward to Luc Besson do sci-fi again.
God, we could just spend an entire show talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about the Fifth Element again.
Totally, yeah.
We'll just say I'm super excited about it too.
Very cool.
Okay, I'm up. And I think my last movie, because we only can pick 5 each.
Yep.
Ghost in the Shell. And I'm getting sick of saying this.
Yeah.
How nervous I am.
Oh, you should be about this one.
I can't
you should
be about
be.
them all.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to be about them all.
But I do want to say something about Scarlett Johansson. I think she is absolutely incredible.
She's amazing.
She really is. Like she's a little bit always in our face with stuff. Like she gets a lot of work. But there's a reason for that. She is so goddamn talented and so dependable, and she delivers. She's fantastic as Black Widow.
Yeah.
She was great as Lucy. Yeah. She was. There's I think it's a thing called Under My Skin or something like that, where she played this alien creature. She totally committed in that. And she is just such a great performer in everything that she steps into the role of,
Yeah.
So as much as it's weird that they didn't cast an Asian actress to play this character, and that's definitely been a controversial
But there isn't any big A-list Asian actors anymore.
Well, they could have found that, and they could have made that.
But for Hollywood, though, you know what I mean?
It's hard not to understand why someone would not want to have this person in their movie.
We don't care.
Yeah.
But for the executive saying, no, we need a star.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's why they cast her.
Yeah.
That's why they brought in her and caused that big controversy that went on.
It's also not fair to criticize the movie or her because of those decisions.
No, not at all. Exactly.
Because they are decisions that we don't have to justify, but make sense, logically.
Yeah.
not just because of her box office clout, but because she's great.
Yeah.
She's a great actor.
She'll pull it off.
And she can do the action stuff and also make us care about the character.
I gotta ask you a question. Did you ever read the Ghost in the Shell manga?
No. Did you?
Oh,
yeah.
Crazy.
So you want to make sure that they're living up to all of those storylines.
Well, I pulled out my graphic novels, you know, like all the collected versions, like about a month or so ago, and I was looking at it. I'm like, I grew up with this. This is part of my foundation of who I am.
Yeah.
And so when I saw the trailer, I was like, I'm nervous. I don't know. It's like, it's such a hard series to get right. And I hope the director read the comic enough to know what it's really about.
They didn't shoot it in Japan. I think they shot it in Montreal or something.
Oh, did they shoot in Montreal?
Yeah. So this one's going to be really, really interesting to see how it comes together.
Yeah.
You know, visually and technologically, I think it's going to look cool. They can certainly just pick shots and transfer them.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously the Ghost in the Shell animated film is just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that everybody needs to see.
Yeah, classic.
But it's going to be kind of weird to juxtapose against them. You know, like. I mean, there's a reason why it's taken so long for Akira to get made.
Yeah, it's just taking, you know, any kind of novel and like Dune, taking a novel to a movie.
Yeah.
What happens? What's the translation going to be like? And is this movie is it gonna work out? Will it have the flavor of the original manga?
Well, we just saw with Assassin's Creed too, right? Like when you have a visual, I think it's different with a book, even with a comic book, but when you have another movie-like thing, a visual reference that you can instantly recall, and then you try to, you know, make it new, and it's not as good as that thing that you can instantly recall. That's the real danger, right?
Yeah.
So
it's always a risk doing it. I remember. I don't know. I'm bringing this up. Another book I really loved was Sphere.
Yeah.
I love that book. I read it in one sitting. I went to see the movie, and it was just terrible.
Oh yeah.
And I hate that feeling. And I really want to walk into Ghost in the Shell, have a great soundtrack, have a great story. You know, encompass the comic and. Give us what Shiro Mazumum originally gave us. I hope we can have that.
Fingers crossed on that one. Something that I think is kind of bankable is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, that's going to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer, and it's just a teaser thing. It doesn't really set up anything. Is wonderful. It's just it's like bubbles on the screen, man.
Yeah.
The sequence that I really love is when Star-Lord is talking back to Rocket. You know, of course, the baby Groot is going to push the button. Oh, that's funny. But when Rocket's like asking for tape, does anybody have tape?
Yeah.
And he's in the middle of a space battle. He can see it's just carnage out there, but he takes a second to have a conversation with his buddy, the raccoon, inside the hole, and it's like so nuts and so crazy. That's my favorite moment in the thing.
Do you know what I like the most about Guardians of the Galaxy when I watch it? It's a bit of fun. It's a popcorn movie for me. I enjoy it. But I think when I'm sitting there in the theater, I'm thinking about all the kids that are watching it for the first time, and their childhood.
It's their Star Wars.
That's their Star Wars. They're growing up and they're having a great time talking about this at school. I get excited thinking about the kids watching this.
You know, and it's interesting that we say that too, because you know, like obviously a big through line for a lot of these new movies is the diversity and the universal acceptance and the inclusion sort of qualities of these things. And we get into the science fiction realm. But Star Wars, as much as they've done some incredible work to give us lots of great human diversity, we're always with humans. You know, we're always like the human heroes are always doing the bulk of the story beats and the victories. But Guardians is not that. You know, like
all aliens.
We have crazy weird creatures. You know, and I really love that about Guardians is that like this tiny little rodent and this tree are best buddies.
Do you know how weird it was for me? Rocket Raccoon was something I grew up reading in like 1984, 85. I read the 4-issue miniseries and I loved it. And all of a sudden I forgot all about that character. And all of a sudden the Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, I didn't even know about Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't know about it. Yeah, it's so cool to see Rocket Raccoon come back.
It's so weird that like a Squirrel Girl movie is actually they're thinking of making that happen. You know, it's nuts.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so successful. And it's the thing, right? Like this Marvel, I didn't say this in the Spider-Man stuff, but I think that is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things with the Marvel movies coming up, because there is this preconception of them constantly rebooting Spider-Man that maybe this underperforms in the context of how they've been doing with their Marvel movies. They've been taking some crazy risks, like with Guardians and Doctor Strange, and we're on our 3rd Thor movie this year as well. Like, weird.
It's getting crazy.
Right? And they've been working really well. You know, they're making a sequel to Ant-Man, you know? And
Ant-Man was awesome.
And Ant-Man was super great too. You know, so it'll be interesting to see how Spider-Man Homecoming does. But I think Guardians 2 is Money in the Bank, mostly because we know these characters now. They're not so weird. Now we just get to know them a little more.
Yeah.
We get to have their moments together.
It's going to be fun. It's an enjoyable movie.
And those actors are amazing. And James Gunn, I mean, he's such a quirky bird, and you know, he likes to kind of mess with us and make fun stuff that we think about afterwards. You know, I do feel a little let down by the sort of last act of the first Guardians movie, but it was a good movie.
They had the MacGuffin going on. The bad guy shows up. That's why I said, you know, it's a fun popcorn movie. I take it as that. Kids will love this stuff.
Oh well, I count me as one of those kids.
Exactly.
So there are 10 of the movies that we are most excited for. I think, you know, we can both say that Episode 8 is at the top of the list for both of us. But
can't wait.
Definitely can't wait to see those flicks, and I also can't wait to hear your comments and to read your thoughts about what we talked about, but any movies that you think we missed. 2017 is going to be a ton of fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.